Ayan, si Segi tanongin mo, mag-best friend yung dalawang yan.
CC1 po, sir. Opo, okay lang.
Iba yung trauma ni Segi, kikwento ko yan sa'yo mamaya.
Ibang ibang story yan, sir. Ah, kalat yan sa CMCC dati. Okay po. Oh,
Cestodes po is tapeworm, Trematodes flukes.
sir? Sir, excuse me po. Mukhang wala pong audio yung live niyo. Ayun, meron po. Ay, sir, ang rinig ko sarili ko, eh. Hindi ko po rinig yung kayo.
Hello, hello, hello. There we go. All right. Okay. So, yeah, crematodes are leaf-like, and what was that? What was our initial discussion earlier? Because maybe we'll forget some of the things, or we haven't recorded some of the things. Trematodes are flukes. Cestodes are tapeworms. Yeah. Now, most trematodes are able to attach to the host by means of what? There are two types of things or attachments. Okay, an oral and a ventral sucker. Okay, an oral and a ventral sucker. So please get your heads out of the gutter. Okay, get your heads out of the gutter. I know may mga kabastusan ka na namang naiisip, Mark, at saka si ano ha? Kayo talagang dalawa ha? It's a sucker on the oral portion. Okay, there is no oral sucking happening here. Okay, but there is, but it's in the form of a worm. Okay, all right. So please get your heads out of the gutter, Arnie and Mark. All right. So an oral and a ventral sucker. All right. Now, they are heterophyes is the only one that's different. They are the exception to this rule because heterophyes has a genital sucker. Ano ba, sir? Ano ba talaga, sir? Parang pinaglololoko mo kami, sir. Parang puro kabastusan. Hindi siya kabastusan. Genital sucker is beside the genital primordium, yung reproductive organs ng isang flatworm. Okay, or in this case, a trematode. So that is known as a gonotile. All right. Okay. There's a third sucker for the heterophyes species. All right. All right. So guys, that's clear. Okay. Okay. Medyo sinisipon si Sir Manuel. All right. Now, gonotile, a genital sucker. All right. Now, let's move on to the other name used for the ventral suckers on trematodes, or found in most trematodes. It's known as the acetabulum. Right? Acetabulum. So it's a vinegar cup. If you want to be specific when it comes to Latin terminologies, or rather Greek terminologies, acetabulum basically translates to a vinegar cup, because that's the appearance of it. It looks like a vinegar cup. It's like this. Okay, so it's a ventral sucker. That's the term for the ventral sucker. Why am I discussing this? Is this going to be asked in the exam? Of course not. This is not part of the exam. Why am I teaching you this? Because you need to understand these things, especially when you are looking at the morphology of the organisms. All right. Now, let's talk about the life cycle. So it has an ova stage, but the larval stages is quite different from nematodes. The nematodes is pretty straightforward. We have the the rhabditiform, and then the filariform larva. All right, a rhabditiform and the filariform larva. But in this case, in case of trematodes, all right, it's quite different. It starts first as a miracidium. It becomes a sporocyst. It becomes a redia, a cercaria, and a metacercaria. Okay, miracidium, sporocyst, redia, cercaria, and metacercaria. Those are the things. Sir, humirap. Bakit biglang humirap? Filariform lang at saka ano kanina? Filariform larva lang at saka rhabditiform larva. 4 stages lang ang kailangan naming alalahanin. Bakit po kami pinahihirapan na ganito? Sila nagpahirap sa inyo, guys. Okay? So, miracidium, sporocyst, redia, cercaria, metacercaria. Okay? Okay, KK, clear? Okay? Carry ba? Carry pa ba? So, paano ko siya maalala? Huwag niyo kalimutan yung shortcut namin dati nung nasa school pa ako. Okay? Mrs. CM. Okay? Ano yung Mrs. CM? So, ano na naman yung Mrs. CM? Huwag niyo kakalimutan si Mrs. Christina Matulak. 'Di ba? Oh. Oh, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Hindi mo makakalimutan si Mrs. Christina Matulak. Bakit? Miracidium, redia, nabaliktad ko pala siya. Mali pala ako. Mali. Ganyan lang. Binaliktad ko lang, ha. Pero Mrs. Matulak na lang para hindi niyo maalimutan. Pero binaliktad ko lang yung CM. Ganyan pala. Sorry. Miracidium, sporocyst, redia, and Christina Matulak. Charot. Ano lang siya? Mrs. Matulak. Okay? Babaliktarin niyo lang si MR, yung R and S. Okay? Madaling maalala, Segi? Clear? Alam ko hindi mo siya makakalimutan. Kaya ako nagtanong kanina kung merong under kay Mrs. Matulak kanina. Okay? Yan yung important thing na kailangan nyo maalala. Kasi, when we are speaking about trematodes later, you'll notice why it's important in the long run later. Okay? Now, what are the characteristic egg shapes of trematodes? Basically, they are most trematode eggs are operculated. Okay, for most trematode eggs, but the exception to the rule is schistosomes because they are non-operculated. Ano ba yung operculation na yan, sir? Alright, so anybody here understands what an operculation is? You guys understand what an operculation is? No? Kailangan sabihin nyo sa akin. Kasi baka mamaya makita ninyo sa mga exam ninyo tapos biglang ano ba tong operculated na to? Diba? Kailangan sabihin nyo na sa akin. Clear? Alam nyo, understood nyo kung ano ba ang operculum or hindi? No? Do I need to explain, Nigel?
No.
No? Oo, talaga. Oo, no daw, no. Okay.
No, hindi, sir.
Okay. Akala ko no. Sabi ko, okay. Alright, so an operculum is like this. You have an ova, right? This is an ova. right? Most trematode oma would look like this, an oblong shape. If it's non-operculated, as in the case of schistosoma, it'd be something like this, right? Right. Now, depending on the species, it would differentiate. It would look different, but that's basically the case in schistosoma. But when you're talking about a different organism, like for example, a different trematode, it will have an operculum. That is an operculum. Yun lang yung operculum. Okay? Clear ba sa inyo? Ano yung operculum? Parang may opening. Gets nyo? Parang may lid. Gets? And that is the thing that opens, releasing the miracidium. Okay? Alright? So, wag nyo kakalimutan ha. Mr. CM. Okay? Mrs. Christina Matulak. Alam ko hindi nyo na makakalimutan ang larval stages ng mga trematodes. Kasi some of you guys have already failed her class. Right? Right? O, di ba? Para hindi na kayo magkikita ni Mrs. Matulak. Wala ka nyo maalala lagi siya. Okay? Sometimes it is our greatest trauma that gives us the most amount of wisdom. Oh, di ba? May mga ano pa si Sir Manuel, may mga quotes pa siya, di ba? Alright. Okay, so schistosoma, they're non-operculated. Most trematode eggs, they are operculated. There's an opening or a lid, per se. Right? Now, let's talk about the infective stages. Ano nga ulit yung infective stages, class? In terms of life cycle, I'm going to ask somebody random again. I'm going to ask Mary because you are the first person in the chat that I'm seeing right now. Can you please define to me what is an infective stage? I'm repeating it over and over again so that the message sticks. Okay, so if it sounds like a broken record, please, I apologize for that one. All right, now, Mary, what is the definition of an infective stage? Ooh. Ganyan si Mary. Child, I kind of forgot child. I'm using her very urban voice. Okay, kaya baka ma-demonetize tayo pag sinabi ko yung mark eh. Diba? But child, I have no idea. Girl, I am flustered. I am flabbergasted. I don't know. I kind of forgot. You're giving me that vibe. All right. Who wants to answer? Who wants to help out Mary? She kind of forgot what's an infective stage. Infective stage only. I'm not asking for the infective stage of trematodes first. I'm just asking the definition of trematodes. Okay. Trematode. Infective stage. Can you please give me a definition? In your understanding. Sige, in your understanding. Pagkakaintindi mo sa Tagalog. Nakamute ka, Ter.
Ano, sir? Yung time na naka-infect yung specific parasite sa isang host.
Time ka aga. Bakit time?
Ay,
Yung stage. Ikaw talaga. Yung stage. Yung time ka dyan. Alright. So yeah, that is a vague definition. Alright. It's a very Filipino answer. I love it. Very makabayan. Okay. Very good. So it's the stage within which the definitive host can acquire an infection from the organism. From the name itself, infective. Diba? Clear? Right? Clear? Now, the exception to this, all or most organisms under the family Trematodea are capable of infecting you with the metacercaria stage. Okay? Except for schistosomes. Okay? Schistosomes will infect you with the cercaria. Alright? Schistosomes will infect you with the cercaria. Alright? Metacercaria. Okay? Sporocyst. Redia. Cercaria. Metacercaria. Yeah, okay? I'm sorry, Miracidium. Miracidium. The first one. So, mas maaga kang mai-infect kapag schistosomes. That's the reason why they're highly infectious. Okay? Because most of the time the cercaria stage there's a lot of these in the environment where they will infect you. And we'll talk about that later. Now, all trematodes require how many intermediate hosts? 2. Okay? With the exception of, again, schistosomes. Bakit laging pakialamero si schistosomes? Lagi siyang merong kakaiba. Kasi gusto kong maalala nyo siya. Lagi kong dinadagdag. All trematodes require 2 schistosomes. They only need 1. And usually it's a snail. Okay? We'll talk about it later when we discuss the specific life cycles. Okay? Now, trematodes are acquired through what modes of transmission, with the exception again of schistosomes. Now, trematodes are usually acquired how? What is the MOT of trematodes? Alexis, you are the first person on the chat. Alexis, can you help the class out? Mode of transmission of trematodes. Ooh. Hello? Hello, Alexis, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
sir. Putol-putol po.
Okay. But don't worry, Alexis. Somebody answered already. It's ingestion. All right. Ingestion of what though, Eliza? Eliza, ingestion of what? Right? But yeah, it's actually ingestion. We'll talk about ingestion of what later on when we discuss it fully. Now, with the exception of course, schistosomes, because their mode of transmission is skin penetration. So don't forget Amanda, Amanda, I'm calling you out because you said you want to remember. Schistosomes, they are S. They only need one intermediate host. And because it starts with S, it starts with letter S also. The mode of transmission starts with S. Skin penetration. Okay? Skin penetration. Alright? Alright? Clear, Amanda? Clear ba, Amanda? Madaling maalala ngayon, di ba?
Yes, sir. Clear
Oh,
po.
di ba? Pin-repair ko talaga para sa inyo yung mga yan. Okay?
Thank you po.
Alright. Okay, now, what is the first intermediate host of trematodes? Usually, they would ask this of most trematodes. I'm talking about most trematodes. Okay? So, again, the exception to the rule is schistosoma. Okay? So, most trematodes, they would have a snail. Okay? Oh, sorry. This includes also schistosoma. Okay? Second intermediate host could either be one of the following or one of the four. Alright? Crabs, plants, fish, or another snail. Alright? So really, sir, pag kumain din ako ng plants, pwede din ako ma-infect? Yes. Yes. We'll talk about that later when we discuss them one by one. Alright? Now, which trematodes are transmitted by ingesting infected fish by humans? Conorchis sinensis, Opistorchis filineus, and Heterophyes. Okay? So those are the only things that you need to. Paano ko maalala, Amanda? When you want to talk about fish are rich in protein because they are cho. O, di ba? Cho. Oh, 'di ba? Rich in protein. Ika nga sa ni Aljur Abrenica. Hindi ko alam yun yung last ko na naalala ni before nung sikat pa si Aljur Abrenica, 'di ba? Yung siya. Siyempre, Becky, ang mga papanoorin, siyempre, yung mga lalaki na maskulado, siyempre, yun yung maaalala ko, di ba? Aljur Abrenica, madaming protina. Binibenta, ang dinidemo or ang kino-commercial is Century Tuna. O, anong meron sa Century Tuna? Protina din. O, cho, Clonorchis sinensis, Heterophyes, and Opistorchis filineus. O, di ba? Ang daling maalala, Ananda? Di ba? Baka naman mamaya pag tinanong ka next time, paano ako makakakuha ng trematodes? Aljur Abrenica. Hoy, hindi galing kay Aljur Abrenica ang trematodes, sa kakaloka ka, Amanda, ha? Wag mo kong pinipiloso po. Inaway si Amanda. Inaway ko si Amanda, no? Anyway, Amanda, hopefully you get to understand. Hopefully you get to remember. For the only trematode that can be transmitted to humans by crabs is, of course, highlight on crabs is what? Sige, sino makakasagot niyan? Sino makakasagot niyan? Yan yung mga mahilig sa kinilaw. When I was a student, that the reason why I avoided kinilaw is because of parasitology. The reason why I avoided kinilaw and any other type of street food is because of parasitology. Really. I was so disgusted with everything that you can get. Okay, James Paul. Dito kay James Paul, bida ang sarap.
Paragonymous Western Manager.
Alright, very good. Paragonymous Western Manny. Very good. Sir Manny. O, di ba? Huwag niyo lang makalimutan.
Saya.
O, di ba? Talagang kumakanta. Kaloka ka talaga. Alright, now, plants and vegetation can transmit what trematodes? There are 3. All right. Fasciola hepatica, Fasciolopsis buski, or Fasciola gigantica. Okay? Ano nga ulit? Paki-pronounce nga for me ulit, Maria Cristina. Pa-pronounce nga sa akin. Pakibasa ka sa akin.
Fasciola hepatica, Fasciola gigantica, Fasciola buski.
Fasciolopsis buski. All right, I love it.
Fasciolopsis.
All right. In some countries they actually pronounce it as fasciola. Depend as long as you know what the organism is, I'm not going to mark you down. All right? Now, intermediate to, sa ano na yon, sa English exams yun na yon, which maybe you may be subjected to my judgment also. Anyway, the first intermediate host of all trematodes are snail. If the second intermediate host of a trematode is also a snail, what is the trematode? Of course, we are going to talk about Echinostroma ilocanum. Okay? Echinostroma ilocanum. Right? Okay? Gets? O diba, from the name itself, this is found in the Philippines. Ilocano siya. An Ilocano trematode. Okay? Sino Ilocano dito? Ay, di. Sinong Ilocano dito? Di nga. Walang Ilocano dito. Raise your hand if you're Ilocano. Because one of my best friends are Ilocano. Alright, Jeneline. Jeneline is Ilocano. I love it. Jeneline. Marami akong alam sa Ilocano pero it's not the good Ilocano. Starts with you. Starts with you. Jeneline, hindi maganda yung alam kong Ilocano. Because when I start to learn a language or a form of dialect, I look at the bad words first. Because it makes me much more interested in the language. Alright? Now, let's look at the trematodes again, depending on habitat. Starting with the habitat in the intermediate host, which is the liver. Oh, from the name itself, you can answer one already. Who here can give me one? Isa lang. Please, isa lang. Maria Cristina K. Sabado. Ayan na, pinarecite ko na sa yung kanina.
Fasciola hepatica.
Alright, Fasciola hepatica. Very good. Alright, very good. So another is Fasciola gigantica, Conorchis sinensis, and Operstorchis filineus. Alright? So those are the four flukes or trematodes that inhabit the liver. Okay? Next, enumerate the trematodes that inhabit the small intestine. The small intestine. Okay? Small intestine. Dito mo naman makikita yung isang friend ko, co-intern ko from UST. Her name is Fe. Oh, ayan na. Fe. Co-intern ni Sir Manuel. Fe. Alright? Siya yung pinakamakulit. 3 ang naging boyfriend niya within the 6-month span ng internship. Para hindi nyo makakalimutan. Yes! True story. Co-intern ko na one medtech intern, 1 physiotherapy intern, and one medical student. O, di ba? Galing. Naalala ko pa, kaya hindi ko makakalimutan si Fe, yung kaibigan ko. Kasi tatlo din yung organisms na related to Fe. Alright, so what are the 3? Somebody raise your hand. Maria Cristina, is that you also? Mary. Alright, Mary, can you please?
Fasciolopsis buski, Echinostoma ilocanum, Heterophyes. Heterophyes pala.
Heterophyes. All right. Okay, you understand. You're not gonna be marked down if you selected the correct answer, so that's fine. All right. Fasciolopsis buski, Echinostoma ilocanum, Heterophyes. All right. Next, which trematode inhabits the lungs? There's only one organism that inhabits the lungs. Adult worms. Maria Cristina K. Sabado.
Paragonimus westermani.
All right, very good. Now, the diagnosis of this organism is done by the demonstration of eggs in which clinical samples? Oh, from the location of it, the location in the host. What samples were used? Let's see if you guys are using your common sense. The lungs. Therefore, what's our sample? All right. Okay, again. Okay.
Sputum.
Okay, what's the other one?
Stool.
Very good. See? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in our previous lecture I forgot to mention please, there was a question in the BOC test back. I don't know if you guys can answer this, but I'll leave this as a question before our lecture ends today. I'll give you guys the choices first. Okay? Before I ask you the question. Okay, that was one of the choices in your BOC exams. ASCP is BOC, Board of Certification for American Society of Clinical Pathology. All right, now in ASCP they asked the question: 95% of parasitic infections are diagnosed through which of the following samples? See, I'll leave that as a question for you guys to answer, and it's on the chat box, and we'll come back to that one later, and I'll explain to you guys why that is so. All right. So those are your choices: A, B, C, D. You just write what's your answer on the chat box. We'll discuss this later. All right. We'll come back to that one later. Now, which of the following organisms are hermaphroditic? Is it or asexual, and which is sexual? Is it trematodes or schistosomes? So again, most trematodes are asexual, meaning they are hermaphroditic. They are what else? Parthenogenetic. They are self-fertilizing organisms. Okay, there's an ovary and a testes. If you look at your exercise books in the past, you're going to see an ovary and a testes in the dissected models of the samples or of your organisms. So just remember those drawings that you have when you were in your third year parasitology lab discussions. Schistosomes that are capable of they're incapable of sexual or asexual sorry they're incapable of asexual reproduction, and therefore they need a male, both males and females when they need to reproduce. Okay, so schistosomes. Actually, the most romantic of all. All right, the most romantic of all parasites that we're going to discuss is schistosoma. Right, the schistosoma species, because they have what you call the formol. When they get recovered from a clinical sample, they're usually found in copula, and they look like this, they're having sags, right? They're having sags whilst they're being recovered, and they do not detach from one another throughout their whole life cycle. Okay, after they release after that particular formation, they will fuse the two parasites will fuse together, and the females will continue to produce eggs as they are attached in copula. All right, now enumerate nematodes wherein eggs are fully embryonated when laid. Okay, dito naman yung, oh my god, really fully embryonated ka agad? Syempre kasi masyo-shock ka. Oh, yan na yung shortcut, Amanda, ha. Masyo-shock ka. Eggs that are embryonated when laid by an adult. Nakaka-shock. So, schistosoma, heterophyes, opistorchis, and phonorchis. Okay, that's the answer to your question, to that particular question. Among these trematode eggs, which among these trematode eggs hatches upon contact with water? Of course, schistosoma will be the one to do so. Kaya nga sabi ko, highly infectious siya among the other ones. Because in this case, it not only enters the body through skin penetration, but it also is an easy there is easy embryonation or easy hatching. Okay? Gets nyo kung bakit sabi ko siya ang pinaka-infectious sa lahat? Gets? Clear? Alright. Now, trematode eggs that are mature, that are not mature when, of course, diyan papasok si Fepe. Okay? Huwag kalimutan si Fepe. Ano naman si Fepe, sir? Ano naman kalokohan yan? Frap, sir. Frap ba yan, no? Fasciola hepatica, Fasciola gigantica, Fasciolopsis busci, Paragonomus westermani, and of course, Echinostoma ilucanum. Okay? So, trematode eggs which are not mature or embryonated when laid by an adult or an egg. Huwag nyo lang kakalimutan si shock. Alright? So, shock yun na kagad. Automatically, oh my gosh. They become embryonated when they get laid already. They're fully embryonated when they're laid. I'm shocked. Diba? Ganon. Para hindi nyo na makalimutan. Okay? Clear? Alright. Now, the largest fluke to infect man. Alright. The largest fluke to infect man. Who here knows the answer? Giant liver fluke is the common name. Or sheep liver fluke. Who here knows the answer? Mary.
Fasciola hepatica.
Very good. Oh, I love the pronunciation. It's very call center. I love it. Girl, I love it. I love it. Okay, so fasciola hepatica. The disease is fascioliasis. Okay, and it's known as sheep liver rot. Okay. Another name for this one is giant liver fluke, sheep liver fluke. Okay. Now, fascioliasis is endemic in what countries? It's endemic in sheep raising countries. Hence the term sheep liver fluke. Okay, Fasciola hepatica is on low temperature countries, and Fasciola gigantica is more on the tropical side of the world. Okay, or places around the world that are tropical in that have the tropical climate. All right. Now, this is a liver fluke that infects cattle. It's Fasciola gigantica, and it is common in the Philippines, or rather endemic in the Philippines. Okay, Fasciola gigantica. Fasciola gigantica. Right? Now, based on size, describe the egg of Fasciola hepatica. Fasciola hepatica. It is the largest helminthic fluke. Okay? I'm not sure if you've seen those charts in your parasitology class, but they have a difference. They show the difference between the sizes of the eggs or the ova. Fasciola is always in the first part. Okay? And then usually it's the last one is the size usually the size of I think 1 or 2 microns, probably a cyst of protozoan, which is, I suppose it's Entamoeba histolytica, which we will discuss in a couple of days, which we will discuss maybe in the next lecture. Okay, I still have 2 days with you. All right, so describe the microscopic appearance of the eggs. It is a hen egg appearance, a chicken and egg appearance. These are the answers. Okay, largest helminthic fluke or helminthic egg. Helminthic meaning worm. All right. Microscopic appearance, hen egg shape. Now, distinguishing characteristic morphology of adult Fasciola from other trematodes is that it has a cephalic cone, giving it a shouldered appearance. Yung para siyang may shoulder pads, guys. So meron siyang neck, 'di ba? Kasi nga meron siyang cephalic cone. All right? My neck, my back, my blank, and my blank. O, diba? Alam ka agad. Natawa si Mark Segi. Alam niya yung kanta. Nakaka-relate siya. Natawa din si Maki. Feeling ko narinig mo na din yung kanta na yun. My, and my, diba? Ganon. My neck, my back. O, diba? Para hindi nyo siya makalimutan, dinadagdagan ko ng song. Alright? Alright? Clear? Clear with this one? Now, let's look at the organs. Describe the organs of the following organism. Fasciola hepatica. The organ of Fasciola hepatica, it has an intestinal ceca, it has a testis and an ovary. All of these things are dendritic, okay, by nature. They look dendritic, and there are 2 pairs of testes for every pair of ovary. So it's very symmetric. There is symmetry. Okay? Actually, among all the flukes that we're going to discuss, Fasciola hepatica is actually the most symmetric among them. There's 2 pairs of testes for every pair of ovary. Okay? So, lagi siyang may katumbas lagi siya on the other side. Pag hinati mo siya, actually, makikita mo siya pa din yung itsura niya. And you would know that it is actually Fasciola hepatica because of the shoulders. Okay? May shoulder pads kasi siya. Now, let's talk about the first intermediate host. Sir, kailangan ba na maalala, sir? First intermediate host. Ano nga ulit ang first intermediate host ng mga flukes or trematodes? Anybody? Just a reminder? Yes. Snails. Ang bilis mag-type ni Mark. Natutuwa ako. Ang bilis mag-type. Alright? So, isa-isahin natin because I know it's so annoying, but you're going to have to remember the scientific names of these snails. Limnae philippinensis, if it's found in the Philippines, of course. Limnae swinho, Limnae truncatula, and Limnae rubiginosa. Okay? So, the ruby snail. Actually, I looked at it. I looked it up. I looked this up in a biology book, and it's actually the ruby snail or the red snail. Okay? Usually, it's found somewhere in the Philippines as well. Sabi yung mga nakikita nyo ng mga malalaki na mga color red sa Pilipinas. Pag naglakad-lakad kayo sa mga bukid, diba, may makikita kayo ng mga ganun na red na mga suso. Yun. Okay? So clear? Lumnae rubiginosa yon. Especially if it has like a crown-like pattern. Yun talaga. Kaya nga siya endemic sa Philippines. Kasi Fasciola gigantica. I'm sure nakakita na kayo once in your life pero hindi nyo lang maalala dahil hindi nyo masyadong na-gets yung description ni Sir Manuel. But anyway, let's go to the common name for the second intermediate hosts of Fasciola hepatica. Of course, as I mentioned before, this is the second intermediate host is of course what? Is vegetation. Okay? So, the common name is watercress plants. Okay? So, kasama dyan yung kangkong and morning glory, Ipomea aquatica and Ipomea reptans. Okay? Ano yung morning glory, sir? Actually, hindi ko din siya alam, guys. Kung sinong may alam ko may Tagalog siya eh. Nakalimutan ko yung Tagalog ng morning glory. If you guys know what is the Tagalog of morning glory, please do so.
Muta po.
Ano?
Muta po, sir. Muta.
Bruha! Nakakaloka ka
Not that
talaga.
morning glory.
Not that kind of morning glory, nakakaloka ka. Sabi ko na nga ba, may mga kulokoy talaga sa klase.
Flower!
Kaya natutuwa
Flower,
ako.
sir. Flower, sir.
Muta. Nakakaloka ka. Sir Marco, parang ayoko sendan to ng Gcash.
Sino ba yun?
Si Amanda na naman. Amanda. Naman na-distract ako. Alam mo yung seryoso ako. Di ba class kanina parang seryoso ako? Di ba? Tapos biglang ganyan yung sagot sa iyo ni Amanda. Nakakatuwa na nakakainis. Alright. Amanda, Ipomea.
Hindi kasi, sir, nang bata po kami yun yung tawag.
Morning glory.
Ng grandmother ko, yun po yung sabi.
Bro,
Yan
nakalagay
po.
na ka watercress. Watercress na ka nakalagay dyan ng buta. Baka
Hindi,
buwan.
sir.
Naku, Diyos ko,
Additional
Amanda,
knowledge.
Oh, di ba? In fairness naman, at least kahit may mga crap na sinasabi si Amanda na ganyan. At least meron tayong additional knowledge. Ika nga niya. Alright, so now let's move on to the two phases of fascioliasis. So you have an acute infection and you have a chronic infection. Okay? So it is the invasive phase where you can see a high amount of blood loss if there's an invasive stage. Okay? And the latent fascioliasis is, of course, characterized by eosinophilia. I don't need to discuss to you guys because this is more or less pathology, but or the pathogenesis rather. So what I want you guys to remember is that in the acute phase, it's also known as the invasive phase, while chronic phase is also known as the latent fascioliasis. Okay, so there's no need to delve deep into these things. But what I want you guys to understand is if you're given, because in your exams, I'm going to mix in parasitology and and bacteriology and what else is there? Mycology and virology all together. What I want you guys to remember is the signs and symptoms of parasitic infection, and I want you to specifically focus on what blood cell is going to increase. See, eosinophilia again. See, eosinophilia. Okay? So you need to remember high fevers. Of course, kaya ka nga nagkaroon ng parasitic infection. Alangan wala kang fever, 'di ba? Bakit ka dadalhin sa ospital para ipalaboratory kung wala kang fever, 'di ba? Kayo talaga ha. Walang ganon ha. Kaya nga kanina, I'm challenging you guys to use your common sense. Bakit ka dadalhin sa ospital kung wala kang fever? So pag kinuhanan ka na ng dugo, ano ang mataas sa'yo? Eosinophilia. Pupunta ngayon si doktor sa'yo, bibisitahin ka, kakapain ka. May hepatomegaly ka. O, di ba? Ganon. Oh, nagets yun na kung paano. Hindi na pwede Amanda yung ganun lang ilalagay mo doon sa ilalagay mo doon sa sa notebook mo, Amanda. Alam ko ilalagay mo sa notebook mo. Ganun ilalagay mo, hindi ganon. Kailangan shortcut na. Bakit ako dinala? May high fever ako. Bakit? Anong meron na ako? Kinuhanan ako ng dugo, mataas ang eosinophil count ko, parasitic siya. Nung kinapa ako, may hepatomegaly ako. Hindi mo na pwedeng ilagay doon, napunong-puno ka na ng Amanda. Baka ikaw mismo, nakalimutan mo na kung ano mga sinulat mo, Amanda, ha? Hindi ganun ang paggawa ng mnemonics, Amanda,
Hindi po.
ha? Ganun mo tuloy. Mga naalala mo, morning glory na muta. Kaloka ka, Amanda. Alright? Now, let's define latent fascioliasis. Latent fascioliasis is defined as the period of time where the adult flukes have settled into the bile ducts and causes obstructions. Yun yung time talaga na magkokos sila ng problem. And more often than not, they are often because of their inherent nature in radiography or imaging tests, they are sometimes considered as growths, especially kasi yung heavy infection with the active multiplication. So syempre pag pinadaanan ka ng X-ray or in-ultrasound ka, para siyang growth, para siyang tumor. Kasi nga nakakagulat pag gumagalaw, 'di ba? Parang kayak. Gusto ko actually isa sa mga activities niyo kanina is papanood ko sa inyo yung video, yung pasyente na binuklat tapos punong-puno ng bulate yung niya, yung abdo niya. Makikita niyo parang may mga scales na gumaganon. Tapos pag binuhusan ng NSS, gaganon sila. Nagfi-freak out sila. So, hindi ko na makita kasi sa YouTube kanina eh. So, sabi ko, i-describe ko na lang doon sa mga students. So, imagine mo, binuklat imagine mo, inoperahan ko si Mary. Okay, Mary, excuse me lang. Kunyari binuklat kita. Hindi yung kabastusan na buklat ha. Surgical na buklat. Okay? Alright? Mary ha, wag ganon ha. Makakasuhan tayo ng kung ano man. Alright? So, inoperahan natin si Mary. So we want to expose her abdominal region. The insides of her abdominal region. Alright? Walang dito, walang kagaguhan dito ha. Okay, guys? So, itinaas natin yung ribs ni Mary. So, yung right side niya. And then makita mo dun sa ilalim ng liver niya, may mga bulate na nakadikit dun sa bile ducts. Yun yung reason kung bakit sometimes mistake sila. They are oftentimes mistaken as potential tumors. Kasi nga kung ano yung makeup nila, yung itsura nila sa it resembles a tumor. Okay? Ang pinagkaiba lang, gumagalaw sila na tumor. Pag binuhusan ng NSS. Okay? Alright, clear? Clear? So, tandaan nyo lang, bubuklatin natin si Mary the surgical way, okay? Making it clear, surgical way, and then we lift up her abdominal cavity. We expose her liver, and you'll see a lot of worms there. So that's the latent fascioliasis form. All right? Now, the result of this is that there is an inflammation in the bile duct kasi sa loob sila, and then after yan mabubutas nila yung bile duct kasi, resulting to 5-stem fibrosis. Okay? Kaya ano ang tataas? Clinical chemistry. Nag-aral kayo ng clinical chemistry, kasabay ko yan. Ano ang mga tataas na blood mga serum analytes natin? Sige nga. Inflammation of the bile duct or obstruction of the bile duct, 'di ba? Anong tataas? Nako, ang bagal sumagot. Bagal, Sir Marco, ang bagal sumagot. Nako, nadi-disappoint ako. Kasi ilalagay ko dito sa case presentation. Paano yan? Anong tataas na analyte? Liver function test para mas mabilis. Bilis. Wala makaalala? Bilirubin. At saka,
ALP po.
di ba? Yung mga ganon. Yun.
ALP.
Very good. Liver function test and, liver function tests, essentially. Correct. ALP, ALT, AST, bilirubin, LDA, bilirubin 1, 2, and AST. Now, if it's causing an obstruction, what type of hepatic infection you're going to have? Or what type of liver enzyme what type of liver marker will increase? B1, B2, TB. Oh, nako, nakalimutan na nila. Patay tayo dyan. Remember, sabi ko sa inyo, holistic ang approach, di ba? Everything that you're studying is related to the other sections of the laboratory that you're studying. Gets? You might get a case presentation that has chemical analysis as well. That includes a chemical analysis. But the question is, B2. Bakit B2? Wala lang sir, trip ko lang. Paki-explain. Short explanation lang, Segi, ha? Kasi we only have 8 minutes.
Conjugated na po.
Conjugated na daw. Okay. Ano pa? B2 lang ang tataas? Total bilirubin kasi ano lang siya, 'di ba? Kasi 'di ba? Total bilirubin, ikaw talaga eh. 'Di ba? Ganon ang pag-ano. So dapat holistic ang approach niyo kasi in the exams you are also expected to know certain values that may encompass parasitology, microbiology in general. It could be in hematology, as I mentioned before, it could be in clinical chemistry. Gets? So baka sabihin nyo, sir, hindi ba pa clinical chemistry yung question? Bakit ganun may parasitology? Tigilan nyo ako. Ha? Tigilan nyo ako. Kasabay nating dinidiscuss ang clinical chemistry. Di ba, Sir Marco? Di ba? Supportive ka sa mga pambubuli ko sa kanila? Or sobra na? Wala na, naku. Hindi siya supportive. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. This occurs in patients who have ingested poorly cooked fasciola-infected liver. There's actually what you call false fascioliasis, alright, or pseudo fascioliasis. So, eto naman, naka-recover tayo ng eggs and everything because kinuha mo naman siya, kinain mo siya actually, nakain mo lang yung bulate. Pero buo pa rin siya, hindi siya kasi nadadigest. Alright, so this is known as false fascioliasis. Okay? So, imaginein mo, for example, hindi natin pwedeng kainin si Mary, sobra na yung gagawin natin kay Mary pagka ganun. Alright, so for example si Mary, inoperahan na natin, natanggal na lahat ng fasciola doon sa katawan niya. Pinurga pa natin siya and everything. And talagang gustong-gusto niya talaga ng beef. Mahilig talaga siyang kumain ng sheep and everything. Anything really, ng mga pagkain na contaminated to sheep products. So ano pa yung mga yon, yung mga watercress mga na yan. Mahilig talaga siya kumain ng kangkong. Hindi natin siya mapipigilan. Pa-baby girl talaga siya. So ayan na nangyari sa kanya. Hindi na siya na-infect that time, okay? Iba naman ang nakuha niya, false fascioliasis. Paano naman yung false fascioliasis? So may mga tupa mayaman sila Mary. May mga alaga silang tupa. Sige, sabi niya, "Father, I want liver this time." Diba? Yung isang yan, may infection ng talagang English, hindi Lasallian, diba? Very British ang accent. "Father, I want to eat liver for today. I'm feeling famished today. I want to eat liver." Right? So, kasi naghanda naman si Father. Properly cooked naman. So, it was, magandang term. Hirap kasi ng mga term ni Sir Marco ninyo, yung mga rare tsaka medium. Raw, pag fully cooked ba? Fully cooked. Kasi gano'n na lang. Grilled liver. Hindi napansin ni Mary na may mga bulating nakasabit dun sa kinakain niyang Kasi syempre, nakababod sa soy sauce and everything, di ba? Nakababad. Kinain ni Mary. Something niya, parang ang sama ng feeling ko. Sorry, in English accent. I feel bad. I feel ill. I want to go to Father, I feel ill. I want to go to the hospital. Can you bring me to the apothecary for medicine? Hindi pharmacy, apothecary ang gamit niya because she's English, di ba? So ganyan nangyari. So tiningnan yung stool niya. Ay, may fasciola, o di ba? Kasi hindi naman siya na-infect, pero nakain niya yung mga bulate. Gets? Okay? Gets? Yun yung tinatawag nating false fascioliasis. Okay? And how do we rule this out? You rule out the patient by keeping a patient from eating from eating liver basically for 7 days. So liver-free diet. So unfortunately si Father isa sa mga direction, for example, unfortunately my daughter, you can't eat any more liver for 1 week because they're ruling out false fascioliasis. O diba? Ganon. British din ang Father. Ganon. Diba? O diba? Para hindi nyo na makalimutan. Alright? Now, pharyngeal fascioliasis is also the same thing. but in this case, Mary, so for example, na-rule out na ni talagang nagki-crave talaga lagi ng liver si Mary. All right? Another scenario. So we have false fasciolitis. Another term for this is halzun. Okay? Halzun. Or hazuon, kung anong bahala kayo dyan, kung anong gusto nyong pronunciation. All right? Now, pharyngeal fasciolitis is this same scenario, but this time father was unable to grill it properly. Some of the parasites or some of the worms are still uncooked. Was still put in a sauce na hindi pa rin napansin ni Mary na may mga buhay pa. O kain lang siya, or according to Nigel, gikaon lang ni 'di ba Nigel? Gikaon lang niya. So nagkaon lang siya. So ano nangyari is may nasabit. Kasi nga may mga oral and ventral suckers, di ba? May nasabit. So, inubo si Mary. So, ang main concern naman niya, may ubo siya. Okay? So, that is known as halzun. Okay? Ingestion of raw infected liver naman. Okay? Gets nyo kung anong difference ng actual fasciolitis, false fasciolitis, and halzun or pharyngeal fasciolitis. So, this may be asked in a case presentation. Alright? Clear? Clear ba? Clear? Gagamit tayo ng brains. Okay ba sa exam? Mangangamoy utak ang kwarto natin if it's inside the house. Okay? So we only have 2 more minutes. In the last 2 minutes, I want you guys to study up on the remaining trematodes, because in our next discussion, you'll get a copy of this one. Don't worry. But you'll get a copy of this one, but I would not be discussing this one anymore because it's pretty straightforward. I gave you everything already on our initial discussion on trematodes. What we're going to discuss next week is protozoa. Cystodes, protozoa only. Cystodes and protozoa, and we'll end it there, and then we'll continue on with mycology in our discussion. Okay? So I want you guys to study up on cystodes. Okay? The rest of this one. The rest. So, Clonorchis sinensis. Okay, Clonorchis sinensis. Opistorchis philonaeus. Paragonimus westermani. Alright, those are the things. Because most of you guys, you guys already know these things. And it hasn't changed a bit. So, what we're going to discuss next week is more on the tapeworms. Okay? We'll continue on with tapeworms. Alright? Is that okay? Because we wouldn't have time. Because we only have like 2 more days for our discussions. Okay? Alright? So, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. And what is the answer to this question? Before I leave. 95% of parasitic infections are diagnosed through which of the following samples? Who here knows the answer? This is a BOC question. It's from the ASCP. Who here can answer the question? A recall question.
Sir, yung mga sagot
Nasaan ang sagot nila?
sa chat po.
Nandiyan na pala sa chat. Alright, sabi mo Mark Segi B2. Ay, yung bilirubin pala yan, sorry. So, according to Mark Segi, it's stool. Everybody said stool. You are all correct. So, obviously, you guys have a great foundation in parasitology. That is the reason why we are not going to discuss the remaining ones, because it is on your own study time. Okay? Alright, is it clear? I will give this one to you, to Sir Marco at the end of the lecture, and you will have an advanced copy of the slides for the first time, di ba? For the first time. Shit, sir! Oh my God, thank you so much! Oh my God! But anyway, that's it for me for today. Hopefully, you guys have a wonderful week, and I wish you all the best on your exams. All right? If you guys want to check out the lectures, it is available on our YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Just watch it over and over. And if you guys can share it to your friends, why not?
Paki-play lang daw in the background. Kahit na you're not listening.
Huh?
Paki-play in the background yung videos mo.
In the background?
I-loop na lang para dumami yung view ka.
Yeah. All right, you guys can help me out by that much. All right. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Thank you so much, Sir Marco. And next week is our last week. 2 days unlimited with Mr. De Leon, I suppose. All right. See you guys next week. Bye. Hopefully Valiant is getting better. Anak, pagaling ka ha. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Thank you po.